chilly in here, huh? That's what, have you ever heard that story about Dave Levin? Like he would keep his studio like at 65 degrees. There's like people like more alert.
Oh, okay. I don't want to be too comfortable around him, I guess. Thank you.
Thank you. No. This is the caller robocalls and talk about kids arrest. Came from the Georgia principal. Yes, my daughter goes to school there. Freshman. It's like not phone calling, kids calling, kids threatening to shoot at school. I'm like, great. And not have his other one.
I know, yeah.
You know, I'm thinking, I think there's more victims out there, so I don't know about it yet.
Yes, the booking video is and it's no, we're just running out a little bit behind.
Well, because you get those cars, when you go in and figure out everything, that's so it's driving like you play live, and you sign up, they give you these cars, so we still really recognize this user. So you can lose money on that car, so you can park your money into this car, replace it, and check for free, using stuff. To my heritage. I don't know how many more kids are going to live in the and all this money. All of it. Tuesday, Thursday. It was pretty brief, I would say, too, but she's like, I'm not going to tell you what you think about it.
Over the years, we've done stories about like these church secretaries.
Yes, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Like there was this lady in Notre Dame with her father. She's this little 68-year-old lady. That's a lot. It was this really famous case because it was like the last case. I forget the names. Guys, the judge's name. It was always like really harsh. Really harsh sentences. That was his last case before he retired. And he let go like house arrest. And so when he retired, and came to the appeal, it came up before the judge. And they slammed it.
But we went over to the Wednesday, neighborhood, which was in Grady Judd, and they went the gallery, and then one of the property rate $711,000 for for 6,000 square feet. It was beautiful.
This is where this guy lives from.
We sell it at pretty soon, but we review.
Make sure your phone's on silent. They'll point you out if you have your phone rings. He'll stop it. Don't let it happen to you.
You run a few laps in here.
All right, we're talking.
He's not here yet. He's coming down. I just got it. Nice plots in here.
Breathe.
Hear what the school board did right about there. About their class. You're behind us. Right. Oh, it's set up.
Yeah, remotely, but
Yeah, it's
remotely.
Here, one of those work is
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being with me. There's two topics that I'm going to discuss with you both that are of significant importance, but I'll deal with the one that created really a lot of local concern by parents in the South Lakeland area of George Jenkins High School. And here's what occurred. At about 2:20 this morning, the Jacksonville mental health emergency line, suicide prevention line, received a call from a young man who said that he was going to hurt himself and shoot the school. So this conversation goes on for about an hour. and they have a lengthy conversation, and they're trying to find out where he is, and he gives street names in Jacksonville, and then he talks about Church's Chicken, and he talks about an eye clinic. And so as this is occurring, the helpline notifies the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, who took the call very seriously immediately. And when they took the call very seriously immediately and got their intel group involved in it, they ultimately were able to find out who owned the phone and start pinging the phone line, thinking we had an emergency. He was given descriptions such as, well, I'm by an elementary school and there's woods and I'm going to shoot up my school. And here's what we found. We found Orion Burtz, he's 16. When we found him today at George Jenkins High School, he was in class. He's very social, he's highly intelligent, and he was on the football team. We saw no evidence of mental health issues at all from our observation or our communication with him. But interestingly enough, what really set everyone into a emergency response was as they were pinging his phone from Jacksonville. Now keep in mind that it's not involved with Polk County at all yet. All of a sudden, while this is pinging randomly in Lakeland, the ping that they received when they dialed us immediately was, oh my gosh, this phone has pinged at George Jenkins High School. He described the firearm, a Draco AK-47, that he had that he was going to shoot the school with. Our deputies on campus had an immediate response, as well as support staff, support deputies and law enforcement throughout the community. We were prepared for an active shooter event. Obviously, it doesn't fall on deaf ears or blind eyes that we had a horrible active shooter yesterday at a school in Georgia. We feared this might be a copycat. When we found him, he's lifting weights in this class. He doesn't know what we're talking about. We asked, can we see your phone? And there is the phone call where he has called this helpline. We interview him. He doesn't have any problems. He doesn't understand. He didn't do anything. Well, our investigation tells us clearly and unequivocally that yes, you made this phone call, and he's been arrested with significant felony and misdemeanor charges. We take this very serious. Words matter. This kid went from a football player to in a lockup. He's no longer a football player because he's going to be, if he gets out of lockup, he's going to be over at another school for folks that create issues. This outrages me because we panicked all these high school folks, kids, and their parents. The great news today is there was not an active shooter. We saw no evidence of a gun. We find no evidence of a gun. We talked to the parents. The parents lawyered him up, but they were cooperative. You know what upsets me about this? What upsets me about this is that he thought this is a childish prank. This is a felonious act to threaten to shoot a school. And it's got to be that way. We take every one of these threats as if it's an actual event until we determine to the contrary. But why were we able to actively pursue this, figure out who this person was from Jacksonville, and arrest him? It's because of forward-facing or public data. Now, I want to share something with you. There was an act in Congress called the Fourth Amendment's Not for Sale, where they wanted us, law enforcement, not to be able to have access to this data. If you were in private business, you could have it. If you were a retailer selling product, you could have it. If you were an individual, you could have it. But law enforcement, not only could we not subscribe to these services to get this public data, but we couldn't use it if someone else gave it to us. They've refiled this bill. Now it's called Reform Intelligence Secure America Act. We wouldn't have been able to find this threat and potentially neutralize it. Had this been for real, we would have been able to have been there before the shooting occurred because of technology that the government's trying to take away from law enforcement, allow everybody else to use it, but not law enforcement. And I don't want to go down the political street, but the truth is the truth and the truth hurts. In 2019, Kamala said, we don't want cops on campuses. Go research it. Don't believe me. What is going on? Because of the outstanding work by the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, because we had the technology and were able to do an emergency ping, we had the ability to get on this event very rapidly. He's going to have to answer for his issues. And the court system will deal with him. And then we have systems and processes through the schools. As you know, we're the director of Safe Schools and the police agency for the schools, the public schools in Polk County. And we will also have protocols to monitor him and work with his parents to make sure that all this was an idle threat, that nothing would have occurred later in the day. So we don't know what we do know, but what we do know is he made this incredible threat that people scrambled around throughout Florida in order to protect children. Thank God for our work. Thank God for our access to technology so we could keep people safe. But when the politicians start talking about everybody can have this public-facing for data, but law enforcement, it stops us from keeping you safe if they ever pass such a law. We should think through that. The next topic I'm going to talk with you about is not new. It's already been in the paper. But I can tell you on July the 25th and then on July the 29th, we received the first two complaints about an attorney. This attorney lives in Winter Haven. However, he has a law firm with 3 offices, appropriately named Family and Elder Law Firm. And this is the attorney. His name is Jason Penrod. He's 47 years of age. The 2 complaints that we received on July the 25th and July the 29th are still under investigation. We are waiting for bank records to come back. On August 2nd, there was a complaint filed with the Pennsylvania State Police that Jason Penrod had ripped off some folks. And the folks that he ripped off, the victims, was a brother and a sister who had a trust from their now deceased father. In fact, Jason Penrod flew to Pennsylvania to look the trustees in the eye and say, I took your money. Not only did I take your money, I took $1.7 million. I wiped out the trust. But I'm going to pay it back. You see, I had a problem. I had this raging addiction. It was at the Hard Rock. I was a gambler. Then he said, I just gambled and gambled and gambled, He said, this compulsion overcame me. He says, I self-justified it that, I'm going to pay it back with interest. I'm just borrowing it as a short-term loan, a temporary loan. And then he went with his excuses. I have these repressed memories. I have PTSD. I have trauma. I have numbness. I have stress. He had it all. He had it all. So he went to an attorney, and then he ran to Marion County to hide out in a facility. As the investigation's going on, we're working hand in glove with the state attorney's office, and we find out that, potentially there's at least 2 more victims, okay, up to 4, and another $2 million that's missing. So we're up to $4 million. We've charged him today only with 1 count. It's an F1, it's a 30-year felony. This guy actually agreed to give up his law license, and then he refiled and said, hey, if I give up my law license, then I can't make money to pay back, but I'll pay him back. This guy's delusional among all of his other excuses. Well, I can tell him what's going to happen. We are going to do our very best to send him to state prison for a very long time. He's not going to work it out. He not only drained their account, he drained his personal accounts. He's taken money away from his own family and children. The last we checked, he's got $36 left. But he's hiding in Marion County. Imagine his surprise when we told him, we've got a first-degree felony warrant for you, and you're going to the Marion County jail. He said, well, my lawyer was working that out with the state attorney. Newsflash, this is how we're working it out with the state attorney. More investigation is needed to get to the bottom of this. But I want to focus for just a second. Among the things he tells the people, and you'll get a copy of the letter if you don't have it already, that he sent to the victims in Pennsylvania, was he considered suing the Hard Rock for letting him gamble there. Now you tell me that guy doesn't have a hitch in his giddy up. He's got about 5 brain cells, and 3 of them he left at the Hard Rock. And now he's locked up and he's going to prison. That's our goal. But I want to focus on him for just a minute. I want you to look at this guy. This is the guy. One of the cases that's under investigation. The lady's 93 years of age. In 7 months, her husband died and 2 of her sons died. One of the sons who died left his mama a trust to help take care of her. Guess where that money is? Hard Rock. Jason stole the money, and by his own confession, he was spending the money at the Hard Rock. In this case that we're talking about now, that we've charged, the victim, one of the victims who set up the trust of $1.7 million was his entire life savings that he'd put together so that he could leave a trust to his children so it could be part of their retirement. He worked hard for that money. Then he went to a, quote, reputable licensed attorney in order to set up the trust and the investment for the children. And what does he do? He rips it off. He's wiped people's entire economic life off of the books. Folks, now he's trying to hide behind mental illness. He's not mentally ill, he's a thief. He's an absolute, total thief, but he's worse than that. Because we have to trust our lawyers and our CPAs and our medical doctors. We don't have the ability to deal with those issues ourselves. And he wiped that trust out. He needs to go to prison. He needs to go to prison. He has ruined people's lives. Now, the investigation's still underway. I don't know how many other cases there may be. For example, there may be trust of people who have passed away, and maybe that payout of that trust is only once a year or every 6 months. So there may be people who have lost money. They don't even know that they've lost it yet because payout time's not come. But he has stolen millions of dollars. Make no mistake about it, the worst kind of criminal is the one that hides behind a coat and a tie and steals money with a law license or a professional license of any kind. So at the end of the day, Jason, you're not going to have a royal flush, but you'll have a jailhouse flush. That's a guarantee from us. Any other questions?
Sheriff, you said he was at a facility. What facility was he at, and is that where he was arrested?
He was arrested at that facility. We set him up in our own facility. You see, he was up there getting help for his gambling addiction. Well, we're giving him help for his gambling addiction because he won't be doing any gambling in the county jail.
Oh, like a mental health facility or something?
I would just call it a addiction recovery facility, or in his case, an addiction hiding facility until we got there and arrested him and put him in jail. So at the end of the day, we're going to make sure that he gets the right help that he gets, because when you're locked up in jail, you're not gambling.
The man whose adult son and daughter filed the lawsuit, did he live in Polk County or is he in Pennsylvania?
No, sir, the man and daughter lived in Pennsylvania. The irony is he took the stolen money, ostensibly from them, to fly up there to explain to them that I've stolen all of your money.
The father.
The father was here because he set up the trust here. He's deceased. But I am super angry about this. And I'll tell you about Jason like I tell you about other professions. You can't mark the entire profession by one person. Lawyers are reputable. We all use them for our personal estates to set up. You have to have lawyers you can trust to help you through life, to when you buy a house, some of the most simple things. And then you have one like this. But he just didn't steal. He wiped them out economically. He broke them. And that's what makes us so angry.
Jake, what do you think about his plan? He had relinquished his license to the bar, saying that so he could re-up his license whenever he wanted to. I mean, what do you think about that?
He had a scam. He figured that, well, if I give it up, then I can come back and ask for it back later on. So this was just one more of his scams. But the reality of it is, I checked, and the Hard Rock does not handcuff you and make you go there. You go there on your own. But he spent millions. And if you believe what he said, he went through all of his money, all of his office money, and then it appears at least $4 million of his client's money.
Have you had any communications with the Hard Rock to see if they had identified him as a potential problem?
Do you know, I have not had that contact from our office. That will be part of the normal operation, is to see if we can get receipts and, you know, so we can follow the money. But it really is of little consequence. He's got every excuse in the world. He's, in his pea brain, he has set up the system, the process, the excuse. Oh, I just need help. I need help. What you need is a jail cell. What you need is accountability and responsibility. We live in an environment today where everybody gets some letters attached, and I'm not making light of the people that have legitimate issues, but people who get in trouble want letters attached. They want diagnosis attached. Well, let me give him a diagnosis. He's a thief. And let me give him some letters. GT, grand theft. So he's got, but for him to hide behind the fact that, oh, I've got a gambling addiction, you know, and quite frankly, the bottom line to this is, I'm not making light, nor would I ever make light of people who have significant, real mental health issues. In fact, I want to help those people. The only help I want to give him is a ride to the jail and then a trip to the state prison. I don't buy gambling addictions. He didn't have to go over there. He didn't have to do that. Yeah, he had an addiction. Now he's got a jail addiction.
Is there any chance of recovering any of this money that he's spent?
At this point in the investigation, we don't see any streams of money. Now, it's not over. There's still a lot of investigation. But I believe if he had money to pay this back, he certainly would have before it came to our attention.
Sheriff, for clarification, there are 2 open investigations contained right now?
There are at least 4 potential investigations, okay?
Including this one?
Including this one. Thank you very much. Have a good day. We'll see you the next time somebody does something really, really stupid. Take care.